A busy afternoon here as we head back to the upside for the overall market. It has been pretty choppy throughout the day. We are right now kind of grinding back higher once again for both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. Now just negative 0.2 for the NASDAQ, or for the S&P, I should say. And the NASDAQ still down about negative 0.15. That's the lay of the land right now. For the S&P itself, Microsoft, Google, Meta, all now back in positive territory, even though they're gray. On this board, it just means it's little changed, essentially, before they get to a certain threshold, then it turns to either green or red. For the individual names, Netflix still stand out here, 2.3% to the upside, 2 full percent. Meanwhile, CRM, Salesforce downside, Adobe and Oracle standing out as far as weakness is concerned. Apple here weak. NVIDIA, AMD, still very positive for both. AMD, the biggest gainer, 4.5% on the day. What a reversal we've had down here in energy, specifically XOM and CVX. Now, both positive. Amazon, Costco, Home Depot, all green. Tesla, 1.7 to the upside as well. As we get going into the final couple hours of the afternoon here, we'll have Frank Caberna come by, talk a little bit about what's happening with Treasury yields. You can see the market back downside currently. We did try and hold 450 there briefly on the S&P. Yeah, Frank's going to come by, talk about what's happening with Treasury yields today, because big moves back to the upside. Dollar as well, back to the upside once again. I mean, this inflation story continues to kind of unravel a little bit as we head towards August and September. Remember, no Fed meeting until September now, so we get 2 full months, really, of data before Fed Chair Powell takes to the microphone once again. A few names here to keep in mind as we head through the day as well. Clorox, Boot Barn, Herbalife, Upwork, and other highly shorted names specifically still on the move, including Traeger, we talked about this morning, still holding on to a huge day. Upwork at the top there as well. EVGO, we discussed if you're with us in the pre-market as well. A few other interesting movers so far today. Fastly, coming off their second quarter results that were better than expected. Wayfair, speaking of highly shorted names, better than expected for them. A bit of a move to say the least as a result. Sunrun, I didn't talk about it in depth this morning, but I did bring it up because they're having quite the day. A little bit, not as much, but a little bit of a short percent story there as well. I think it's about 10% on run, but RUN still up about 15% on the afternoon. A ton of tech names to come, including Apple, including Amazon. After the close tonight, we'll get earnings from both. That is going to be, I guess, the next driver as far as the overall market is concerned as we head back to the middle of the range, getting going on a Thursday afternoon here.
So welcome. So a couple of those names that reported in squoze this morning. I was just looking at the charts of the ones that we were not trading. The ones we were on were pretty impressive enough. But my goodness, Sunrun, Herbalife. I wasn't really on Herbalife this morning. There was other fish to fry. If you were watching, you know what's up. You know what's good. But look at Sunrun, 10% up, and then what goes up must come down, and it's still up 10%. So it goes 10% move off the open, retraces everything, is down since the open, but it's still up 10%. And then Herbalife was the same thing. You kind of know where we were on a couple of those names. The only position I'm in, because I bungled Mullen, I'll get to that at some point, is AMD, that 115 level max. We're both looking at that 115. The futures couldn't hold 15.5, so that's where it's at. But yeah, might as well start with a different squeeze name. We're familiar. This morning it was TTOO. That was a great runner, had it perfectly. I don't think I could complain about a single thing I did on TTOO today, but I was that dude on Mullen. I had the long here. I had the 15 break. I'm like, yep, it looks really good. Let's add it 15.2, and then let's move my stop to break even and give it no room. And then I made what was the bottom wick at 1 o'clock before it ran to 17, and then I was short the top at 17, which is good. I was getting 17 to 16. It was a flat bottom at 16 even. I'm like, I'll add to this when it breaks 16. So I still had some 17s on, get it at 16, get filled at 15.5, move my stop. I'm like, yep, it's going down. It's going to break VWAP. It's going to get to VWAP and then break it. I'm going to trail it out just above break even. I got up to actually fill my water, and it trailed me out and then proceeded right after that to go all the way down into VWAP. So it's a weird one because like Mullen wasn't, like, technically it's actually not bad because the short overall worked, but that's just not the best. And we had a lot of squeeze names. We'll get to a couple of other ones later on because it was absolute gold. I mean, Nikola was ridiculous. Take Two was ridiculous. But right now it's about the market, and you have to consider that 15.5 resistance. Once, if you weren't looking for a short trade on big cap or something in the big cap tech when we got to 15.5, could not break through, could not hold above. I mean, it broke, but it couldn't hold above, just like yesterday late in the session when it tried to get above it. So it's still a bit of a weak day, despite the nice bounce that we've had. Not getting through 15.5, I think, is a big sign. And AMD was up there. Maybe you could have had NVIDIA as well. That was another play. Yeah, these small cap runners, feels like they're going to be the long opportunities again this afternoon, because the market underneath 15.5 to me is still a short.
Yeah, I mean, if you were watching the midday, you definitely saw this Nikola move, which I did get involved with at that 350 level as well. That went pretty nuts, but sadly stopped out at the break-even spot right at 350. I just punched out, kind of, wimped out on that one, thinking that it would probably flush into 45s, and I didn't really want to lose that much. But yeah, sadly gave up most of the size, and it does make that move that you're kind of looking for. I probably should have gotten a little more out when you're up 15 cents on a $3 stock, but I don't know. Once you're seeing the tape on this move up, the dollar signs come into the eyes, and you start thinking about where we might end up. And didn't take anything out really, and ended up losing. Or I think I made a little bit on that trade, but didn't really do that well on it, sadly.
It was more of a scalp trade on Nikola.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I switched gears on Nikola because I had this break here, the 330-ish. I had that breakout and it didn't work right away. So I said, let's flip the script. Let's start thinking about dip buy and then scalp some out. And if I add to it on a breakout, scalp the breakout, then only hold a portion of it. And that was really working because I was like 330 long, hold to 340. Get some out, it bounces off the same level, reload again, hold to the high, take the breakout, scalp a bunch out, still holding the core position the whole way, then jam long at 350. At that point, you've been making money, so then it works up to here to 360. I never added to that position once we had the 351 long. It either held 350 or it didn't, and we were able to get that to 370. So outside of T2, which was redonkulous, that was a decent move, this was pretty good. Probably should have. Here, I had a trail out the entire time, and this sort of happens when I wasn't even paying attention. I didn't really get a chance to see that move because I was basically only in 5%, and I had a trail out to break even. But there's a good chance that if you're there live, that should have been a punch out at 60. Or move the trail up. I wanted it to break 370 to move my trail, or 375 specifically. If it breaks 375, I move the trail for sure. But it just couldn't chew through that level. So Nikola was good, but it could have been great. The market's really starting to come down. I've been looking for an opportunity to get back into the Roku short, which, by the way, that is every now and then you get the best out possible when you're short or long a stock. Not taking this a third time and not reversing was a mistake, but getting out, this is why you have stop orders in place, because that exit, not getting trapped at the bottom, I say that a million times when you're short at the low of the day, you want to try to have it trend. Yesterday, if you made the same kind of a short in anything, the market flushed and then you just had continuation. But the flip side of that is the market makes a bottom, and at 11 o'clock or 10:30, you are short the low and you do not want to get blown out. So Roku, if it can just get back into that same range from this morning, underneath 89, I like the short down there. Otherwise, some patience to be played. I'll show you the gap fill that I'm looking for. Underneath 89, I'm just looking look the size of the gap fill all the way down to 84 to 86. That's what I think can be captured if we really flush on Roku. But it's still kind of chopping around here, 89 to 90. That's not the place I want to be into that short.
Sharif has jumped on.
Hello.
We just saw a really interesting number and a stat. Yesterday was the worst day for, I think it was all stocks in the U.S. specifically, but I mean the NASDAQ was 2+%. Worst day since February yesterday. So that's saying a lot. Anyways, I got to make a quick correction here and give full credit to my friend Sharif, who sits beside me right now. As of, July 19th, so 2 weeks ago, Liberty Media completely spun off the Atlanta Braves.
Oh.
Just happened, actually, just 2 weeks ago. So BATRA, B-A-T-R-A on the NASDAQ is now 100% the Atlanta Braves. For anyone on the daily chart, you can see. I don't know if they took over this symbol or something, but you can see where the volume comes in. That's July 19th, so just a couple weeks. So there you go. If you're watching the midday show, you'll know what that's about. Let's talk about PayPal. We had earnings from PayPal. Revenue was up 7%. Continued momentum. It was a margins problem that caused this move to the downside initially. If you zoom out a little bit, we had a gap early on this morning, significant gap, but then it did flush even more once the day gets going. So they were pointing to growth margins essentially going forward.
Yeah, essentially they had the same, they grew a little bit, but they were not making the same amount of money. We know that they're having a cash flow problem right now. They lost about $500 million from their free cash flow. So it's a bit of a tough look for them as they look to restructure going into the rest of the year. What
do you think, Neil? You going to buy BAT RA now?
Hell no. A buddy of mine's a gigantic Braves fan, so maybe he will. I'm getting a little, it's frustrating because I was getting into a mode the last couple of days where I was sort of channeling when I started. I used to trade a lot of penny stocks, I've said that before, and I felt like I was really getting into the rhythm, and I'm just getting a little FOMO'd here on that Mullen short because I felt like I had everything right about this one from the 17 short to the breakout long at 15, and I'm not in this, and I don't want to chase it because that's just a mistake, so I'll stop looking at it now. And I was short PayPal too. I tried the dip buy. That didn't work at 66. That was an SSR bounce play, so it made a bounce underneath 10%. So I took the first long, like it's really hard to see. It's about 30 cents worth of risk in here, 66 into 65.7. It's this wick that's skewing everything. I'll get rid of it. If I try to do it live, it's going to probably crash the chart. So when it took out the low of the day, I was short 65, went 64.5. I then sniffed. It was a double bottom. I'm like, this is SSR. It's lunchtime. I don't want it to reverse on me. I took more out for $0.50 and then just break even trade here when it broke 65. Even I have done nothing with it since. If this can't hold the bottom, this is, again, on the daily chart, underneath 65 is ugly for PayPal. Like the next level is really 63-ish. That's $1.50 from here. So I think there's kind of like I was just saying with Roku, I think there's another short in here somewhere. Maybe it's back off to 65 again so that I'm not having to trade the low of the day break. I'm thinking 65. 65 might be this short on PayPal. Okay, I'll let you talk and then I'll try and clear this wick up so it doesn't. If it happens on camera, every time I do it on camera, it crashes the chart. When I do it off camera, it works. So,
I think, yeah, I mean that 65.70 level, which is exactly where we turn around from twice. Interesting. I maybe need to pay attention to my own levels a little bit more, but yeah, that 65.70 level is the one that we were talking about. Anything below that, pretty brutal for PayPal today. So. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to kind of take the bounce, this is where we stopped last time at 64.70. So maybe, maybe we've established the range now on PayPal and we can take some longs this afternoon off the 64.70. Maybe there's some kind of bid reserve. Maybe there's some kind of huge order that shows up or something. Other than that, maybe, I don't know, like those even round levels, so 64.50, maybe it bounces from there. But yeah, we've given up 65 a bunch of times today. It seems like it's a little bit kind of inflection on the day, that 65 price. So trading below there now. If we make a new low, I figure PayPal kind of just trends down for the rest of the day. This is a nasty move, and no, it's not loading up. I'm going to pull it up on the trade ideas chart just because the last earnings report went from the levels that we're at right now all the way down to the lows. This was the last earnings day right here. Goes from the 69, where we started trading today, basically, all the way down into 58, 59. So do I think that that's where PayPal ends up after this earnings report eventually? Yes, I do. I think we're going right down into that 60 level at some point in the next couple of weeks. Pretty nasty on this company. And Sharif and I think in front of last earnings, we're talking about how nobody uses PayPal anymore. Apparently, that is the case.
Don't you, though? What's interesting is I had just recently, like maybe sometime in the last 6 months, I cleaned up like a lot of things that I was using PayPal for. I think I have like one or two things that I still use it for. Like, I'm a baseball fan. You wouldn't know Fangraphs, but I'm pretty sure I have a subscription to Fangraphs, and I don't know. It's like a baseball statistics site. I think that's like the last thing that I use PayPal for. Maybe Baseball America, but I might not even be doing that anymore. Again, I'm a baseball nerd. I want to get to this before we move on to the next one and go back to the desk. I want to acknowledge MSGM just broke the highs again. It's been stair stepping to the upside. So Motorsports, it's got room to go. It's trying to fill this gap in that went all the way to almost over 8.5. I should say, not almost, over 8.5. And it's wild because that's a big. If you get rid of some of that, there you go. If you look at $9 here, like $9, like 3 times, this would be the 3rd time, has been big resistance. So, I mean, getting to and above $9 would be wild for MSGM. And then suddenly you got explosive upside through the $9 level. It's not there yet, but let's keep an eye on this one. I'm not chasing this move. I think if it shows you a nice little stair step up, don't chase the top. Wait for it to consolidate, like pull back in, consolidation. Chasing the top has been a bit of a sucker's play here. You've been able to scalp it out, so let's look for that next. But lots of room before it gets to $9 for this MSGM.
All right, let's continue along here. I was just looking at this MSGM. I'm not actually seeing anything as far as new headlines, but this obviously popped up going back 2 days ago on monster volume. So yeah, nice move back through 7. There's Qualcomm, meanwhile, we were touching on this morning. Another one that gapped to the downside, significant gap through to 120. Q3 revenue misses, issued guidance with a midpoint below estimates as well. So ugly as far as QCOM today. Yeah,
it wasn't a good look from the report missing on the top and bottom line. But here, analyst Chris Rowland for Susquehanna basically saying, I'm raising the price target from 140 to 155. He said while the guidance was disappointing, he sees all the bad things to be in the rear view, and he's looking for this company to move beyond just being a modem and IP cellular company and be a real, true, broad-based semiconductor player going forward, Brendo.
Off the lows, obviously, guys, but do we hold higher here is the question for Qualcomm.
Qualcomm was frustrating this morning. I feel like that there was multiple traders on the floor. I think a couple on the midday as well. I was in early that tried the dip buy once it was SSR looking for the bounce and didn't work out. It was a small loss. We controlled it at least. I mean, it felt like it had wicked the bottom, so it had gone SSR. It already wicked the bottom at the open. I didn't get that trade long because, looking at some other things at that time, which is fine. And then it made a higher low. I'm like, I'll take the higher low because I feel like the move's already going, and then just give it to the local bottom. So I took the higher low here, 116.5. I gave it to the local bottom, just around the 116 even. I took my shot. I could have scalped some out here. This went almost $1 in the money, but I'm thinking I wanted it to 118 first and then 120. Those are the decision-making levels for me. So I didn't take any profit. And then look where the bottom was. It was 115. It wicked the bottom, then held 115 even, has been off to the races. That's the tricky nature of that SSR play. You never really know exactly where it's going to be. I know the timing of it. Usually you want it right at the open or that 10:30, 11 o'clock time. That would have given you here on the 115. So I think it's good to 120. Generally speaking, 120, 120, if you look at it on the daily chart, the reason I say 120 is that is the recent support level. I think if Qualcomm got back up to there, that's where it would slow down, stop. I'd be looking for a short at that price, but missed opportunity for me on the SSR bounce in Qualcomm. Small hit, but ideally you like to have a good idea turn into a win. I didn't really stick with that one, and I'm not, here's the other thing. You're like, well, why wouldn't you stick with it and be back at it at like 10:30 and at 11 o'clock? Well, if you look at what was going on at that particular time, like at 11 o'clock, I was working, that's like Nikola entry time for me. And yeah. Nikola was fantastic. I got really aggressive on Nikola. And if you think about, and if I think about what was going on at 10:30 for myself, well, we were into T2 at the bottom at 33 cents, and then it broke out 40 cents at 10:30, and then that took you to 450. So 45 cents. So I know it looks really bad not to have stuck with Qualcomm and just got that long off the bottom, but there were two, in my opinion, at least for myself, much better trading opportunities in the 2 best stocks for me today. So if you're going to miss out on something that is part of your plan, like Qualcomm was, then both of those good entries off the bottom coincided with my 2 best trades of the day. That's how it should be. If I'm going to prioritize something over another setup that I like this morning, then it's got to be, let's take the better trade and be right about that. So I have 0 regrets about missing Qualcomm, because at least I prioritized Nikola, which was good, and T2, which was great. Sometimes that's what you have to do as a trader. It doesn't always work out that way. Trust me. How many times have you heard me say, oh, we had this instead of that, and then it was Starbucks at 100, or not having that Caterpillar trade? And then we end up being wrong about it. But not today. Today, we were right to prioritize Nikola and TTOO.
Yeah, I mean, I looked back at that chart, and that 115 level looks pretty awesome for a potential long. That looks like a great bottom. But in the pre-market, I was looking at Qualcomm and saying 113. That's the level that I want to try. That's the real long-term support on this. So I really didn't care what happened to Qualcomm unless it got to that 113. I didn't see. 115 makes sense as like an even dollar kind of level. I guess there's some closes here. I guess there's recent closes there. So maybe I could have had that 115 as a level. But there was so much stuff this morning. I was saying this morning, maybe I'll be in 5 trades off the open. Thankfully, I was not in 5 trades off the open. But there are, 8 or 9 symbols on my list today that I have traded. I imagine Neil's in quite a few more than that. Yeah, you can't hit them all, but great bottom there on Qualcomm, double bottom 115, gives you 118.50, and still kind of recovering here, still down 9%. I guess you got room to go, as you were saying, into that 120 price potentially into the close, but at this point, I think the trade is over on Qualcomm. If you got it, you got it. You're probably holding a piece for that dream end of day scenario. If you don't have it, maybe you're looking for a double top short at 118.50.
Anyway, we were laughing. Let's talk about Wayfair. We were just breaking down some order numbers that were just mind-boggling. Essentially, Wayfair sold 108,000 or had 108,000 and change orders every day in this quarter. And obviously reported a profit here.
Yeah, Brendo. Essentially 5 words. Orders grew and costs fell. They grew by 3.4% year over year. Brendo alluding to that number. In the quarter, they had 10 million orders. In addition to that, the cost of merchandise fell 8.4% year over year to 2.2 billion. Do the math. 3.2 minus 2.2, that's 1 billion.
Unreal. I was talking about it this morning, but I had 1 this year. Have you ordered anything from Wayfair this year?
Never. I looked. It's expensive.
I was 1 of 108,000 this year, guys, for Wayfair, I think.
So this is, I cannot believe we missed this. This is the most, because I was looking at a weekly chart of Wayfair, and I was pulled too far back to look at some of these levels. But Wayfair, you've got just what I need. What does that look like to you? That's a W. No, my face needs to go to the bottom, because now you're missing out on part of the W over here where my head is. So I don't know, you still can't see it. Yeah, if I go like that, then you can kind of see, but it's not as good unless I make it full screen. So yeah, if you get my face away, that is the W setup. And look at the top. And we've been saying this for a while. 74 Wayfair, 32% short interest. Now it gapped that level, unfortunately. That's a very unfortunate thing for a trader, because it meant you didn't get the 74 breakout. There's no question about it. I'll be frustrated with Wayfair today. I got a great fill at the open, and that was at 79 into the 84 level. 84 was a pre-market high. I proceeded to bungle the living crap out of 84 and 85. It was clean 79 into that level. 83s, there's 84. But then I was like, long. Oh goodness, a little bit exuberant there, Neil. Long. And then not willing to hold it, get some profit, stop out, re-enter, get some profit, stop out, stop trading Wayfair, start trading everything else. Now, it ended up being a good decision trading some other things, but Wayfair decided to hold the trend like a champion, and it decided to hold that 84 level. The original long, if you're just long once here and don't get super aggressive, and I'm probably never out of it on that 84 long. I'm probably able to hold it, and When it dips back in, you're going back in long here. But again, this is right when I was trading a bunch of other stuff that was taking my attention. It was the right call. So the 84 was good. It went all the way to that 90, not quite to 92. 92, 93 on the weekly was what I thought resistance. If it got to there, that was a big level. Then 100 is the next level up. This holding out 84, 85 is a great sign. If you pull the daily chart up here, like the fact it wants to hold up there is absolutely nuts. I'm gonna give you that weekly here for Wayfair because I don't want to, in case it like Carvana's or what's another squeeze name that's been ridiculous? I guess it's really just Carvana. Upstart's the other one. If it does that, understand that through this level could be the beginning of it, really. Like, so now that you're through that 74 on the weekly, that's $100 on the weekly up here, the next significant level. And when you pull the daily chart a little bit further back, I think that's where you can spot the 92, this 92 top. Whoops, I went too far there. Yeah, so this little 92 top, those are two reasonable levels if you're looking at the next days and weeks on Wayfair. So Wayfair had just what you need if you had the long trade, but there were so many other ones. It was hard to stick with it. Something wasn't working right away at the open. At about 10 o'clock, there were some small caps that were just, I don't want to call it free money, but to me were lower hanging fruit, and that's why we were trading them. I don't want to, it's not that there weren't other things to trade. Like I look back at my meta chart, I'm like, how was I not trading meta 316? I'm like, whatever, man. T2 was ridiculous. Nikola was ridiculous. And when I say that, this is what I mean by meta. I mean, look at the 316 top on meta. Like, look at the double top of 316 on meta.
Is that 310 bottom during market hours after 9:30?
That's right at 9:30. So these are, like, this is what I have had drawn on meta. That 318 level from the other day, the 316 which got established in the afternoon, the 310 which has been here since the gap up, and then 326, we haven't gone anywhere near that. Every one of those levels was absolute gold today. And for a bit of a kicker, if we break, I put this in the chat, if we get back above 15.5 on the NASDAQ and can hold that, doesn't meta look like a breakout through that 316 level?
Oh yeah.
You hold the bottom, higher lows into a 316 top. Yeah, that's not a short up there this afternoon for me. That's a breakout into the next level up. And that's just underneath that 318. So we got $2 to go. We have 30 handles to go on the NASDAQ. A lot of things that went to the wayside after the early Wayfair trading. One of them's meta, but I'll rectify that if it breaks 316.
Yeah, that Wayfair trade, I mean, I had it pre-market off of the 80 level. Obviously didn't have executions to get out of this when it was flushing $2 against me. Thankfully only lost about $1 on that one. But yeah, after that punch out, we kind of just keep making new highs. 78 reserve on pre-market was incredible. I don't know, you know, somebody was obviously offside on the 78 level, and they just were absorbing all the shares that were sold into there. And we make the huge move off of that. I think, you know, looking back at it, taking a breakout on a stock with such low liquidity, you know, punching out for a 20-cent loss is probably not the way to execute on Wayfair. I should have given this more space. I didn't have that many shares on it when I was long at 84.10 or whatever it was. I could have easily given this back down to, you know, 83.50 at least, and I would have still been in that trade right now if I wanted to be. So 84 gives you the level 3 times after that. Bit of a miss on this one for sure for me. You could have been, could have been a very good trade at least, but is what it is. Wayfair, as long as it holds up above that 84 level, if it holds above 74, this thing could be a long for the rest of the week, the rest of the month. Who knows? That short float. I wonder if people covered today. I wonder if people got more short today above the 90 because that double top on 90 was pretty solid in the middle of the day. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Wayfair going forward. Kind of wish I was cheering this one on all morning.
All right, AMD on the list this morning as well. Back to the upside today. A really nice move, in fact, for AMD. Some of the other semiconductors playing along, some of the other ones not. There really wasn't anything significant as far as headlines to go on today outside of essentially what happened yesterday. If you zoom out a little bit for AMD, we're bouncing off that low from yesterday. It ends up holding that low from way back in June, where we got back down to 110. So now 4%, Sharif, back to the upside today.
Yeah, market participants were all ears yesterday when Lisa Su was speaking with respect to the MI chip. there's a couple of variants of this MI chip. The MI300A, the MI300X. Essentially what it is, it's a response to NVIDIA's GPU. Analysts want to know how many she can make and how quickly she can get them out, because according to her words, there is no shortage of demand for this product. So let's keep our ears open the rest of the year and see how many they can deliver.
Nor will there be for the foreseeable future, I would imagine. The pre-market high, conveniently kind of lining up there, guys, with a red to green move from yesterday's close, if you saw that early on this morning for AMD.
So Max and I were just talking about Carvana to each other and how I think it's not going to be done until tomorrow. Not Carvana, Wayfair. But you know what? I'm actually much happier with how we traded AMD today, because AMD was a dumpster fire worth of trading. I never want to be that person that, you know, when I look back at a chart like this, like it's not that bad because AMD actually wasn't. I was long like 4 times and it wasn't even my worst stock. But that's not, it's not excusable. Like if you're going to be in the other side of a trade, like you're going long on a dip buy on a stock, it does this, you want to have the most specific entry points. Today I was long too short because I felt on the way to 115 there could be some longs. So I was long with a stop out here on a high day break. I did not re-enter the trade. When it consolidated up 113, I had a long in here. Now I had to take profit, so this is coded as short because I had a take profit up here and then decided I wanted to punch out when that trailed. So it got coded a short sell. And then you go to work off the high of the day. It's hard to see, but there's 2 triangles in here. That was another cover, and then a short back into 113.75. I trailed that out right here when I'm like, yeah, that's still going into 115. So I was done with that short, trailed out, and then waited for the 115 level. That's what we're still in. We kind of hit it a couple of times. First on the front end, not always the best, and then on the back end when it did not get to 115. You have a 114.96 top. This should have been a reload. It was not. At 130, I know I can look over and show you like Nikola doing something at that particular time. Again, it's going to be opportunity cost. If you're only trading AMD, I feel like that's a reload. We haven't broken VWAP, but if we take out 113, it's a monstrous gap that can get filled on AMD. And but the problem with that is if the market takes 15.5 again, AMD bounces off VWAP, that's bullish.
Yeah.
The short 115 worked, but if we're above that 15.5, it's hard to love any big tech short trades. And just because we're probably, I don't know, you didn't trade NVIDIA.
No.
Okay, so you didn't trade NVIDIA. It's not one of the many names that I've traded today, but if you look at NVIDIA, 450, look at the brick wall on NVIDIA at 450. I don't think you want to be holding the boat or reloading the short on AMD if this gets taken out and 15.5 goes. Because NVIDIA's got a little gap to fill as well. And if my chart goes, oh, no, you're not going to show it, the 15-minute will. That's fine. NVIDIA's got some room if it decides to get above 450. I don't need to tell you guys that, but we're saying it anyways, because a few things can drop, like 316 Meta, this, Tesla 260 and 70 cents. There's a couple of other names, Amazon if it breaks 130. Those things happen above 15.5. I don't care what good short you're holding in tech. It's probably going to turn into a loser if those things happen.
Yeah, that AMD 108.50 we were talking about in the pre-market, that was kind of a inflection level yesterday. Hits it in the pre-market, never gives it to you again. You take the pre-market high, I believe that was clean. Maybe it reverses back down on you, but you never take out the 108.70, which was the dip off of the open. I guess, you know, you could be punching 109 here off the open. If you're really bullish on AMD, you say, look, we couldn't even get to 108.50 off the open. Now we're pushing 109, you punch 109, maybe you're punching 109.30 on that pre-market level, and then you're adding potentially on 110, looking for this big move. I wasn't that bullish. I wanted to try 108.50, 108, and then 107. Sadly, so I don't have the 5% move on AMD today, which was probably the best move of the day, maybe other than Wayfair. Wayfair was pretty ridiculous too, but great move on AMD today. I like the 115 for the short. That was the Alamo yesterday, as Neil would say. So you get up to 115, you can't even get there. I see it do this little wick into the 90s. I'm punching 86 and 79 and stopping out at the high of day. Never gets there. And now we are just trending down. I'm looking for 113 to potentially break. Got another profit taker here. I think I have almost half left, a little less than half left on this one. So looking for potentially a bigger move. I mean, we're up 4% on a stock that was down 7% yesterday. So, you know, we may have a decent down move for the rest of the day. Market is kind of trending up at the moment, and AMD doesn't care. So I do like that.
That's good.
I do like that we rejected 15.5, and we were rejecting 15.5 right when AMD was up there. So it was kind of just this perfect scenario that you just have to hit. You see it there, you got to get it. So yeah, we'll see where AMD can go as it just fills me again on a profit taker. No more left. We'll see what happens with the remainder of this position. I ain't taking profit until very low down.
If it breaks VWAP, it's going to tank. Before we go back to the desk, I'm having an issue in my chat. So there's a question. Tesla, I was just mentioning Tesla 260. That's why. So Tesla, where is Tesla going? I was trying to respond yesterday's high. Tesla, 259.50. I'm waiting for 260, but now that feels wrong. But it keeps rejecting, like my messages just aren't working. So I've restarted my chat, and mine's not working for some reason. But Tesla is making a run. Like yesterday's top here is underneath 260 for a breakout, and then 260 could be a break long. Tesla's up 2%. It looks really good on the 15-minute. Let me zoom in to get rid of these wicks. There you go. That's yesterday's high. There's 2 days ago at the close. You got 261. So at 260 in at 261, and then if it breaks that, now you're into the other gap fill. That looks really spicy here on Tesla. So lots of things moving here. One more to go to get through this rundown, Brendo.
Robinhood, an interesting one today. We're asking questions. That's better. Robinhood this morning, we were talking about whether or not this was going to be a long, and if you're patient, did give you that opportunity at some point. I mean, $11 was, if you go back a couple of days, was a bit of a level. Anyway, earnings kind of meh. It basically boils down to the fact that interest rates have been so high, obviously over the past year and change now, that they've been able to benefit from interest rates.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the bad things that happened in this report or that were reported here overshadowed the fact that they actually turned their first quarterly profit ever in their history. Let's look at the deets. Transaction-based revenue declined 5% in Q2 from a year ago, Brendo. Monthly active users decreased to 10.8 million, about 3.2 million fewer people on their platform than was the case last year. However, they were able to beat earnings because interest rates. Yes, they're charging more on margin loans.
That's not being a thing, by the way.
Sorry.
That's not being a thing. Jewel here, a little one just popping up on monster volume spike as well, guys.
Jewel, the Jewel of the Nile. I don't know. That's a good movie. But Robinhood, this is the story of like the wick bottom. No, look, I wasn't trading Robinhood, so you're not going to see an execution for me on Robinhood because my plan of action where I think there was interesting trading was at the $12 level, and you can see it hasn't even sniffed that. It wicks 11 at the open. Let's go to the 3 minutes so you get a better idea of it. It wicks 11 at the open. It comes right back up. It then holds a higher low, and then off to the races. So if you were looking for a dip by long on Robinhood for some reason, congratulations. Robinhood was not on my radar. I'm kind of glad we didn't really trade it because I don't think I would have had any success with it. I do want to pivot. Tesla's starting to go here. I do want to pivot to a couple of names here. Meta's nowhere closely. I would love, I like Meta if it can break out, but if we get back to 15.5, I feel like Meta should be up at that 316 level, and it's not. Whole TTOO, Manuel asking, I don't believe in when you're, in a penny stock, I'm trading it. I'm not holding Mullen, I'm not holding TTOO. I think when I was younger, I used to swing some of these things, but I really got away from that because I just found that, okay, well, if your actual income is from trading and you're trading these risky things when they're going, then why would I double down by having my personal or investing account be doubling down on them? It doesn't make any sense. When they go, I make money as a day trader, and I kind of want to put that into some things that I feel safer. So TTO is at that level. Here's where I would say caution. My only mistake on TTOO, well, I don't mind this long at VWAP. I don't call that a mistake. That's just a miss. Because if I'm doing it the whole time, it's good. And then the third time, it's a loss. So if I have it here and I have it here, I'm up. And then I take that and it's not the end of the world. But it was getting in on the test of the low too early. I didn't let it test the actual low. So it bounced, and it broke the low of the day, and then that was the entry. So by that, and the other thing is the level's not 33, it's 32. Like 32 is the key level on TTOO. Ooh, that's hard to see because of this. There we go, now you can see. So 32 was the key price level. Like that's what needed to hold. So I got in front of it until it tested it. When it held 32, that was the actual long entry at 33, 33 and a half, and you got your run to the upside. So I need to see it. It bounced off it once. It's not a bad entry here. I think you give it to that low just underneath 32. What was better, though, is if it can wick the bottom and hold it. I always like that a little bit better. So did Tesla break as I was...
It did break, but kind of wick high at the moment, reserving on the bid in the 90s. I am long at 260 on this break here, but going to be out very quick if this doesn't go kind of right now. We'll see what this one wants to do. NASDAQ is not following, so if Tesla wants to make a move by itself, that is always bullish in the fact that it's kind of rejecting the market move and doing its own thing. But you don't want to be holding a breakout like this at high of day when it isn't going. But looks like, I don't know, it doesn't look bad. Tesla's just kind of moving up slowly. So we'll see if we can blast off from here. This was the low the other day. So if it goes below 80s, we'll just get out of it, kind of, unless we just wick and go right back up. You just kind of, you don't want to see any red printing below the level that you want to get out on. But, if it just kind of bids back up like that, that's fine. So now 74 is the stop on Tesla. We'll see if we can fly through the high now on this one.
Yeah, my only scare thing is I thought we'd do that when we're at 15.5 or above it on the NASDAQ. So we're beneath that resistance level. But Tesla sometimes goes on its own. So I'm with you. I missed the break. I might take it if it takes the high again. I think we got to go one more to the desk now that we're done that rundown. But I think I'll go with it for the high of the day, new high of the day break on Tesla, because I just missed that. There it goes. Gimme, always gets. I didn't even get it.
Here we go.
Oh, I just got it now. I got it on the way back in there. Yeah, we have one thing. I think we got to go to trade ideas here.
Yeah, rundown brought to you by Trade Ideas, real-time scanning and alerting used on the desk by everyone you see on the show. See what's moving in the moment. Check out the QR code, bottom right corner of the screen, guys. Take advantage of this if you haven't. Great deal, 20% off. TraderTv.20. Shout out to our friends over at Trade Ideas.
There we go. It's like, yeah, we're not really going to the desk, but we're going to the end of the rundown. I show you guys Trade Ideas all the time. It's one of the reasons we talk about them, and it's because we use them. And before we even did this show live, I can tell you that there are traders that predate me that have been using Trade Ideas. And, the guys that started Trade Ideas actually started on a prop floor, like just like Day Trade the World model. So they really understand day trading. That's why it's kind of geared for that. So Tesla, I'm in. I didn't get the break, so I had to take it when it broke 10s, which means I'm long 20 instead of long 10. It's 10 cents slippage on the break. So congratulations, Max, you win, because Max always wins. Did I poke TTOO because it's making a move? No, I did not. You know what? To be honest, I was about to okay, so Tesla broke, great. Yes, I went long in Tesla. I hope it works, but I missed that chance. I got TTOO tapped that 32. And I was like, yeah, this is where you'd want to get long, but I don't want to chase it to 35. That to me, that doesn't work risk to work. That's chasing a bit too far. If it puts up a higher low that I can work off of to not have to give it to 31.5, fair enough. But I made that mistake earlier. Get in small so you can hold it for big. I like getting in with a tighter stop more aggressively than just getting in and holding it and wanting it to go. Because if you do this and give it a wide stop, then it has to go all the way for it to work. When I get it in here, I'm just like, okay, I can scalp. Now we're just holding and then add at 40. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm not chasing the move on TTOO. Ideally, if you have it off 333, you're absolutely laughing. I see Microsoft being talked about here. What's interesting? Anytime I haven't looked at Microsoft today, but I have a line that held up exactly for some reason, so I'm almost very curious about that. Why did I like this level? Okay, I know why. I think I just placed this right around afternoon support, kind of where we closed the other day. This wick's making it nasty. But yeah, it was at aftermarket level and then resistance in the pre-market. So it ends up holding up. But Microsoft 330 gets interesting on Microsoft. I don't see anything I love right about here. Is Genius Brands moving? Don't tease me. Is GNS going to $1 again? No. What a short.
Yeah, that was money. I know you were sitting there wanting to short the one fail on that one, right?
Yeah, I guessed wrong on Genius Brands. So as it was going to the upside, and it's like, yeah, Genius Brands is going, it's gonna break $1. I like right here, I paid for shorts, and I sat there. I had my stop set for 101, and I was just waiting for it to fail break 1, and then I was gonna punch short 99, set my stop to 101. Like it was ready to go. My stop was already in place, and then I was short 99, and then it stalled at 99 and never broke $1. So I missed that completely. That was a monster short trade. So let's go Tesla, because that's what we have. Maybe we get some meta if it breaks out, but the story is going to be Tesla here. And might have to give up that AMD if we get to that 15.5. But you know who's here. It's 2:45 on a Thursday. That means let's try to figure out what the heck to do about this Fitch nonsense with Frank Caberna.
My apologies, Frank. I was muted, so no one heard. Hope you're well. Good to see you, as always. We'll jump right into things because I really want to dig into this, what happened yesterday, essentially, as far as the U.S. debt is concerned. I liked in your notes that you sent me today, you kind of said, does this matter at all? And if you look at the overall market in, the past 24 hours, it's a shoulder shrug, but we are seeing a little bit more heaviness, a little bit more selling, a little bit more downside across the board today outside of the 10-year, which I want to talk about as well.
Yeah, a lot of interesting action coming out of this news story of the downgrade. How much of it is owing to the downgrade itself is really hard to tell. It's one of those things that if you Google, U.S. credit downgrade, I think you get a lot of different stories. People saying it doesn't matter at all. Some people saying that this is why the stock market's been down 2 to 3% in the last 24, 48 hours. And this obviously came in about almost 2 days ago. And the story, just if anyone is unaware of what it technically means, is U.S. credit rating from Fitch being downgraded from AAA to AA+. Not a huge move, especially if you look at the grand scheme of things. You've got over a dozen ratings here from S&P and Fitch. And the U.S. was one of, I believe, 8 or 10 regions throughout the world that had a AAA rating. They've been knocked down to a AA+. But the S&P knocked them down to a AA+ back in about 2011. And that actually coincided with some stock market volatility as well. And I think that, Brennan, that's probably the most direct part of this has been some stock market fear heightening. But if you look at where you might think the most direct effect would be, which might be in Forex and US dollars and demand for dollars, given that, all else equal, Eurozone countries like Germany have been at AAA and have stayed at AAA, and the US has been downgraded from AAA to AA+, you would think that there would be a lessening of demand for US dollars and increasing demand for euros. And you saw that knee-jerk reaction on the downgrade news. And we're looking here at the 5-minute chart for euro versus the dollar. And you see that euro rising 40 pips or about half a penny against the US dollar right off of that news around 5 p.m. Central a couple days ago. But you see that coming off of the employment data that came, around 12 hours later, you get back all of that US dollar loss and then some, to the point where in that 24-hour period, US dollar is actually stronger versus the euro. And so it calls into question how much markets actually care about this. And we'll get to the interest rates in a second, but in terms of US dollar, it cared about half a penny's worth, Brendan, and then gave up a full penny's worth or 100 pips coming off of the employment data, which of course is at the forefront of our minds as we head into non-farm tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be the big event. We also got the Bank of England making their move this morning, which kind of caught people a little bit by surprise. I think equity is not really moving, but I did see the pound obviously making a bit of a move. I want to touch on not only the jobless claims number, but the ADP job listings number, and then obviously tee up the non-farm number that's coming tomorrow morning. I feel like the market's almost got to a point where, there's some hesitation in the sense that we all are sitting here wondering, does this matter anymore? We get, CPI coming up next week. How much is that going to matter at this point? The Fed obviously in a couple of months has to deal with all of this and then come up with an answer when it comes to what to do with interest rates. But from a higher perspective, how much is this going to matter in the next couple of days?
Well, it looks like, I mean, especially given that 24-hour period where we kind of disregard this more like news oriented story of the downgrade, but then taken to a greater effect, I think, not only in Forex and interest rates, but in the stock market as well, that employment data, that's when you really started to see the stock market see some extension to the downside and fear really build. Brennan, was the NASDAQ futures losing about $80 off of the credit rating downgrade on, I believe it was Tuesday night. And then Wednesday morning, they lost well over $100. And then throughout the rest of the day, after that employment number comes out hotter than expected. And you know this better than anyone. We jump on here and talk about this a couple of times a week for the last several months here, which is the cyclicality of markets caring about this number versus that number and everything else. It feels like they are starting to care about inflation and employment data. Again, the last several months been more enamored with, Apple and Microsoft and what stocks are doing individually. But this most recent couple of days of trading, especially, a second tier employment number sending 10 years into a tailspin, and NASDAQ futures, S&Ps, and everything else. And now we look forward to this non-farm number. And I think it's coming at a time where data, employment data and inflationary data is starting to be dissected by the stock market once again. So it'll be a really, really intriguing number. And of course, you can tell me, the market will tell me if I'm wrong in the next 24 hours, if tomorrow non-farm comes out hotter than expected, or it comes out slower than expected and the stock market does nothing. But I mean, given the last day or so of action, Brendan, one, it seems like we're trending towards a hotter than expected non-farm number. And then two, if that number does come in, you might see some more of that inflationary fear bring stocks lower and bring interest rates higher, because interest rates, especially in the middle part of the curve, have been flying high off of this, like I say, second tier employment data. We haven't even gotten a non-farm yet.
Yeah, and given the fact that, it's almost like stocks are kind of waiting for a reason to sell, given, what has happened to the upside here, we're starting to see that momentum kind of pick up a little bit to the downside. But I mean, hey, at this point, it's much needed. This is an interesting look, and that is the preview of what is to come as far as what to be expected for the non-farm payrolls number tomorrow. I mean, I think it's 2 or 3 months in a row we've seen, numbers that have come either way or the other, decent size. So is that what we should be looking at here? Whether or not necessarily whether or not it's higher, but more the amount in which it's higher or lower?
So I think that's a great point you bring up, which is this second tier employment data coming in hotter than expected earlier in the week, bringing the stock market lower, bringing the US dollar market higher, bringing interest rates in the US higher as well, kind of already pricing in a hotter than expected non-farm number. So, I mean, if we get anything in the 200 to 250 range, the market might shrug that off, because again, markets are so efficient that they're already kind of getting ahead of a higher than expected number. Now, if we come in closer to 300, a print that we haven't had the last couple of months, the last print at 209 was the lowest non-farm payrolls number we've had, I think, in a year here. If it is 300 or higher, then I think you might see some of these trends continue. Stocks seeing some inflationary fears again, interest rates taking another leg higher, and US dollar taking another leg higher as well. On the flip side, of course, we have seen this before, Brendan, where one inflation number kind of doesn't jive with another inflation number, if payrolls come in under 200K, which of course they can, you might see that stock market recapture a lot of the losses that they've seen over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours. That's obviously in play. This doesn't have to be a higher number than expected, even though employment data has been leading us that way. But either way, it's really great to see that this number should play out across several asset classes tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I want to touch on what is coming now, as far as not only tomorrow but down the road a little bit as well. And you have this great chart as well with the CME Fed Funds tool kind of underneath the 10-year. I saw today. I was going to grab a chart of it, but I didn't have time during lunch. I was busy doing other things. The 5 and the 30-year actually went positive for the first time since back in June. So I wanted to grab the yield curve again, but I apologize. I haven't had a chance yet today. But it's the first time in a while that we've seen that movement back in that direction once again.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the yield curve action for all the yield curve traders out there, or just enthusiasts, heading away from inversion, heading closer to normalcy, and not the way that we've historically done things, as 10-year rates climbing well above 4%. You can see there in the black line, that's the 10-year rate on a tear the last several trading days, above 4%, adding another 10 basis points on today, getting close to 4.2%. And of course, the Fed has short-term rates already at 5.5%. So is it a long way to get away from that inversion? Yeah, still around 100 basis points. But what's been particularly interesting, to your point, Brendan, 30-year rates rising, 10-year rates rising, 5 and 2-year rates, the short end of the curve, not rising as much. We haven't seen this yet, which is a bullish interest rate market coinciding with steepening or normalizing of the yield curve. For the last year plus, it's been a bull interest rate market coinciding with further inversion. And historically, we've looked at this a couple of times, and I'll refresh it for us next week, especially if this inversion continues to come out here. Historically, when we were inverted before the dot-com crash and before the financial crisis, Brendan, we became uninverted. We normalized, so to speak, because interest rates collapsed. Short-term interest rates collapsed and fell under long-term interest rates. This could be the first time, in my trading career, in my lifetime, in the last 30 years plus, where we see an inverted yield curve normalize, not because short-term rates get crushed, but because long-term rates rise to meet them, which has not been the case. But as you can see, employment data staying hotter, inflation data staying hotter, not necessarily building in short-term rate expectations, but building in long-term rate expectations that we just might be here for longer. So really, really interesting time to be trading interest rates. And now it's interesting to see them bleed into Forex and the stock market, as it's been a pretty inverse relationship once again. We haven't seen this last couple months. Interest rates higher, stocks lower. And I would tend to think that tomorrow's non-farm number will send that relationship one way or the other again.
Yeah, we've seen, just real quick to wrap up, we've seen that the US dollar kind of stall out on the way back higher again as well, just the DXY, the dollar index. If it does come out hotter than expected tomorrow, where's the movement going to go as far as the DXY is concerned?
It feels like, or the recent trend has been US dollar strength. So whereas in low inflationary times, you might say strong employment data, strong stock market. In these high inflationary times, high interest rate times, we're looking at strong employment data, strong dollar, and potentially weaker stock market because of the interest rate implications on that stock market. That relationship has been really foggy the last couple of months, but the last week, that relationship has really kicked in. Like I say, that second tier employment number was really straightforward, hotter than expected, strong US dollar, weak stock market. Non-farm will be really interesting tomorrow.
Yeah, more to come. One thing's for sure, you never want to guess what is going to happen these days because sometimes you're just dead wrong. Right across the board, Director of Strategy over at IG in Chicago, Frank Caberno, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brennan.
Markets, Frank Caberna. I don't know. If you guys come up with something better than that, because every single time Frank comes on, we're just going to keep we'll keep upping that title until he's just the master of the universe or something like that. But I love the outlook from Frank. This time, however, he didn't get the market through the highs. So
Not yet. Not yet.
not yet. Although that being said, you probably want that to happen more than I do because I haven't trailed out of AMD just yet. Let me just get to that first because that could happen imminently. There's a local high here at 1330 that is going to be my trail out. So if we get through that, I'm trying to give it a chance. If 15.5 fails in the NASDAQ, I'm showing you simultaneously. If we fail here, lower high, still want to be in AMD. I might get into it again, but if we make a run at that top, I don't want to get trapped. So 13.3 is where I'm trailing this one out. I was in and out of Tesla a couple of times here. I was in and out of Tesla once. Got the long, added to it, got some out at the highs, and then stopped out underneath 260, but then it wicked the bottom, got back into it. I'm trying to do the same trade. There's a nasty dark pool wick that is a little bit annoying, but it didn't trigger my stop, so that's a good one. Thank you, Swift Stop there, for not triggering on the dark pool wick. I'll take one out in front of the current high of the day, which is the 50s, and then the next one out in front of 261. But Tesla, it's trying to go. Like, it's doing its own thing right now, which can be a good sign for Tesla, but it's running out of steam as the futures are just teetering on flat. The other position, I did get into Roku. I said I was looking for that Roku short. Didn't want to chase it. I waited for it to at least make a run at VWAP. Let me just show you where this bounced. This bounced right at that reversal price on Roku. So while I do like the short, lower highs in the afternoon, underneath 15.5, there goes Tesla. I also have to fail on Tesla. You see I'm no longer long Tesla. Max is holding on.
No, I'm out.
Oh, never mind.
Didn't update.
Okay, it hasn't updated yet, but Max is out. So that just came to the downside. If we roll over, I like the Roku short again, but I want it from VWAP into that breakdown. I think it could be an add down here where we had it before, but I'd much rather be playing off of that VWAP level than anything else. So we still have two shorts. I still believe in that 15.5 level being the key in the futures. What else are you guys looking at? Look at Fubo and Roku. Well, Splashman just looked at Roku. By the way, if Roku gets above VWAP and we take out 15.5, there's probably a long around 90 or above it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Fubo TV, they report before the bell tomorrow, I want to say, not after, before the bell. We'll get the earnings board on, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that one in Power Hour. Look at the flat bottom. Well, it's not a flat bottom break until it breaks, but look at the flat bottom on this one. Broke out this morning at okay, it wasn't 320. I was hoping that'd be 320, but it's like 318 or so. And the previous close is 317, and it holds the line here at 322. That's pretty spicy, but going into the report with downward momentum, this would normally feel like a flat bottom breakdown once it goes red on the day, which is at 317 on Fubo. But like, why not a bounce? There's no volume, so I don't know if I would want to just, sit along and hope it goes from here when it's setting up that it wants to stair step into a breakdown. You could play that in either direction. I don't have any conviction there, but a lot of times, if I know which direction I like on a stock like this, if I like the long, I'd be in it already with a stop underneath 317. And if you like the short, then it's just a breakdown underneath 320. I don't really have a good idea on either one. Patrick Headley, can you explain the dark pool wick? Oh, I don't have to move the chart. This is the easiest example of a dark pool wick would be to show you what happens at 8 o'clock every single day in the pre-market. So overnight prints on several gateways. One of them is Blue Ocean, by the way. If you're looking at why do you have 24-hour trading on Robinhood, they use Blue Ocean. And Blue Ocean is a big dark pool book. And a lot of them sometimes, when you print overnight, there's like these big dumps of all of those prints that have already happened and all that volume at specific times. One of those is just after 8 o'clock or at 8 o'clock. So if you look at any stock, and I'll go to the 3 minutes so you can see it even better, go to any stock at 8 o'clock in the morning, and from then till about 8:06, you're going to see all these crazy wicks. None of these trades, and you can tell by the volume, it'd be more volume to take it to move that far, none of these trades actually happen at that time. They are just late reported prints from overnight that get put in later. And you might see them, here's some on AMD, they might happen during the middle of the day too, dark pool wick. The reason I can immediately dismiss them as stock didn't do that is there's no chance AMD goes from 113 to 109 without a big volume spike. So it's kind of obvious usually when they happen. Every now and then there'll be like a tight wick that's harder to tell, but that's what I mean by a dark pool wick. It's just it's a previous print from like earlier in the day or maybe even overnight that just shows up, and they can late report them. Bit annoying. Skibby Dweez in the chat. Short NVIDIA question mark. Well, I think AMD is a hold to short here, at least to that 1330. That's what I'm doing. But to get into NVIDIA there is basically, I mean, it's a bet that 15.5 doesn't go on the NASDAQ, and you sit in the short, giving it to the local high, and think it can fall into 440, which is the next support level, which is way down there. That's very similar to AMD, which is holding the same local high. I'm trailing out here at 113.30, and then it can make a breakdown to some big support levels. So I think it's a distinction without a difference there. I'm not entering a trade here. I'm holding it at this particular point. I don't see, like, I like the entry on Roku. I didn't see a re-entry on AMD, though. You could make an excuse. Yeah, you can probably enter it if you're not in it with a tight stop, and it makes some sense. But if you're flat, I liked where Roku was for a setup. I'm looking for a place to add to it. It might be breaking down. I might just add also here up at 89.4, but I feel like this is a low of the day situation if the futures give it up. What else do we have here? T2 getting jiggy with it apparently, but
Is it?
I don't think so. That's not a bad move, but it's not a big enough move.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it went all the way back down, right? So
Yeah. The move was this morning was T2. If you had T2, like yesterday in the afternoon, obviously T2 was fantastic for everybody, and then this morning was the real trade. It was 33 off of the bottom, and then it was a 40 breakout. When 40 broke, like, you know what broke loose. So I was already in the 33, and they took the 40 break and just, you couldn't get past 45. You could see that coming out of, it was obvious it couldn't get past that 45 level up there.
Oh, yeah. Tesla I got stopped out of, but I'm actually back into it again. Looking for it to hold the 50 here. Going to stop out right about now if this doesn't go right away. It's just like a tight risk trade, looking for it to hold this 50 period area. This is where we broke out from before, this 259.50. So you go a little bit below, can't get any further. So I get in one piece, get another piece at 50, and then we'll see if it can hold. But we give up that 25, then I'm out of that as well. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that is setting up anymore for me. I mean, Amazon maybe holding that 129 area could be good. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I got out of AMD when it took VWAP again. So out of that one, let me just set a stop here on Tesla. We'll go over to AMD. Yeah, AMD got out of as it broke back above VWAP. The futures looked like they kind of wanted to go there. So AMD, get out. I only had like 7% left on the position, so that's fine to get out of that one. Up there, wanted to hold for the dream, but the dream didn't show up as I get stopped out of Tesla again. So yeah, maybe they're just hunting me at this point. But yeah, I mean, futures actually are taking a bit of a dive, and we have not hit that 15.5 again. So clean rejection of that same spot that we rejected from yesterday. 15.525 is apparently the spot on futures at the moment to either reverse this trend or continue it. So depending on how you see it, I mean, we did basically get short AMD right here and continue that trend all the way down. So pretty good on the short there on AMD. Maybe I could be holding that little piece for the dream back down to like 112, but I'm happy with that one. Where's Nikola? Nikola died. Robinhood is in the top of its range.
Oh, Yell. There's a couple of
what happened
questions.
to Yell?
There's a couple of questions about Yell, asking about Yellow Corporation. So if you remember what's been going on, I'll get to ANET in a second. I don't really see anything crazy with ANET for a play. There was some good opportunities earlier, but Yellow, the story with this in the afternoon has been like right around 3:30, boom, 3:30, boom, 3:30, boom. So 3 days in a row. Now, this move here was about like 150 to 190. This ain't chump change. Then you had here $4 to $5, not chump change. It's probably embarrassing for me to have had that long and that long at 330 and then not have the one yesterday, which went all the way from 310 into 350. That's like, how many times is it going to give you like 10, 15, 20% moves at the exact same time every single day on consolidation breaks? But I don't think that's you sit in the trade and hope that it happens again. It's more along the lines of, if somebody breaks it out at 330, I'm going to have a stop order in to take it. So once we hit about 325-ish, I put stop. Right now the stop would be at 430. Maybe it moves up here and the stop's at the high of the day. But if I'm anticipating that some lazy program buy gets turned on at 330 on yellow, I'm just observing the pattern. And if it's there again, then I take advantage. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be sitting in the trade hoping it happens. Because anybody sitting in the trade hoping it happens, if it doesn't, maybe they break down and then this flushes and halts down or something. So I never want to just participate. The line is from a couple of traders that used to do the midday, and they say, don't anticipate, participate as a trader. It's an if-then statement. So I'm going to participate if it makes that move. I'm ready for it if it happens. Right now I'm looking for where can I add to the Roku short. It's already in the money. We got that nice little curl. Maybe it's a breakdown. The futures seem to want red here. So I'm liking it. Maybe I'm going to get FOMO. Havana Woody said, glad didn't sell any on the naysaying Neil. Okay, so maybe take two is going. I missed the entry at 30. It was a 32 low. I didn't get 33 or 33 half. I just didn't want to chase it at 35. I'm not going 35 long with 32 stop. That's 10% risk. That's how I look at that trade. So to me, 10%. I'm not trying to put that up. I don't mind holding it for bigger wins than that, but I'm not really wanting to take a 10% hit on a penny stock, as good as it might look. So it's just risk to reward wasn't there for me. But Roku working to the downside, AMD still going. What else we want to look at here? Can we get lower today, please? Adrian says. Well, I'm hoping we do. That's obviously a bit of the plan. Yellow's picking up a little bit. I would still like to find something else that would sit at a good level. What are you guys looking at then? Chase it 45 then? It's not going to 45, Havana Woody. What are we talking? I almost put in Havana Woody instead of TTOO there.
Congratulations!
We'll slap the fail on it. I mean, sometimes chasing the move works. Like if I had chased it and entered at 35, now you got the 2.5 cents. So the R&R is like 1-to-1 at VWAP, so that would have worked. I mean, it's not what I wanted. I wanted the long here like we did before. Like I did before, I should say. I shouldn't say we, I mean I, like I did before. But that's a mistake. That's a miss. T2O is a good long. You're right about it. That's a good trade. You're in the money. If it takes out VWAP, 40 and 42 were big levels this morning. So, yeah, what can I say? Like that was, it was better than I thought it was. You win, buddy.
Yeah, market looking like it wants down, so I will just get out of this Tesla long again, trying to hold that 259 area. AMD giving it up again, so yeah, I guess that's a decent reload there. Finally, anytime it gets to the 50 period, it seems to be just rejecting and then blasting down. So decent reload spot there on AMD where I punched out. But am I reloading at VWAP after a decent move down like that? Not usually. So yeah, I don't know. Where do we? I mean, if the futures want to go down,
The lows.
if we want to go down, the low of yesterday was 15,412. We cracked that today. So we take down 15.4 again. I mean, I think, how much time we have left?
45
We
minutes.
have 45 minutes. We can go pretty far on these futures. I mean,
an
if you're
eternity.
hanging on to a short right now, I would say,
Whoa, what just happened? Is the stream on? Is the stream, check, are we still streaming? Are we still streaming? Can they hear us? Okay, so if anybody that can still hear us, we just had a breaker probably go off. Our trading stations are down, our cameras are down, the audio might be good. So if the audio is good, then understand that I'm staring at blank screens, and hopefully the market is still tanking, because all I got is 2 shorts on. I got my bids, and I've got my stops out. So I'm okay. You guys can see me? You guys can actually, the cameras are still working. I can see on Cat's screen. So, hi everybody. Yeah, we're on apparently, but I've got blank screens here. You can see the other shot. We're chilling.
It's on a different circuit.
Okay, so this is good. Fun times. This is why I'm glad I don't have a lot of orders out there. No, it's not turning back on. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. This is what happens when you're live, everybody. Apparently the lights came back on. My PC's not coming back on. Are the other stations working?
Yeah.
They're back on?
Yeah, those
if
ones are on.
If worse comes to worse, there's the midday stations if my PC doesn't come back on here, because it's ridiculous. I can just log in somewhere else if we have to, guys. So yeah, this is live and it's fun. And this is the only camera that's working. My main shot's not working.
There's no power.
Can you guys type in the chat, what is the current price of Roku? What's the current price of Roku? What is the current price of AMD? I'm short Roku, I'm short AMD. Please tell me what the price is. I'm looking at the chat. I want to know where we're at.
Oh, there we go.
That's what I'm talking about. I can't hit a bang, but where's Roku? Okay, that's not bad. That's okay. I'm bidding 55, so 20 cents away from profit on that one. So I'll let you. Oh, so this is working. So
Yeah, our monitors just turned on for a second here.
Okay, my PC just came back. All right. So my monitors. So yeah, I have take profits out and I have stop orders out, so I feel kind of good about it. But if we don't get to the low of the day, I'm not getting any profit on Roku and it's coming to the downside. Got to wait for this to boot back up. See, the other backup plan is if this completely fails, it's exactly the same setup at the midday, and then we can just go log in over there and then sort of switch everything to over there. But it looks like we're probably okay. This is going to be a bit of a process. I apologize because I have to log back into the computer. I have to log back into the platform. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt. So I will be talking as Max and I do that. Is there any chance? Hey, Brandon, can you as I try to get back in here, I have to log into this. All right. This is going to take a minute, then I got to log back into the stream. I'll be chatting with you guys. I won't be able to see that for a while. Priority one is to get back into the platform so I can at least manage trades.
Hi. Yeah, I'll take you through a couple of things here as we get back up and running here, guys. Just so everyone knows, it was just a power outage. A breaker tripped, so we're back up and running, but it's going to take a little bit for everyone to get logged back in and get going once again. I was keeping my eye on Robinhood here, back to 1150, or trying to get back to 1150 as we head through the afternoon here, where it held a couple of times through the midday coming off of earnings. Obviously, this one popped up as we were speaking early on with Frank, and before that, 190, 195 was the top end of the range there for Jewel 1060. I never saw anything or found anything as far as the headline is concerned for this one. Jewel back to the downside currently, though. NCLH has been remarkably weak so far today. If you compare this chart, if you remember, we had earnings recently for this, but if you compare this chart to what we've seen in the overall market today, down 3%, travel names across the board suffering a little bit here as we head through the afternoon. Overall, the market starting to flush here a little bit. 15,400 coming into play for the NASDAQ, S&P back to about 4520 as well. Oil wrapped up the day 2.6% in positive territory. Typically, that does put a little bit of pressure on these types of names. Some of the travel names, I mean, going back to NCLH, if you remember in their earnings report, part of the problem that they pointed to was costs and higher price for fuel. So you can see on the daily chart, we are now fully below some very, very key levels here for Norwegian. So notably weak on the afternoon are travel names. Tesla, I saw still flying around as well. Back to the downside we go, but coming into this support, which is 258, 259, where it last broke out from on the way to the upside. There hasn't been much as far as catalyst today for Tesla. There was some Chinese numbers that came through early on this morning, Chinese delivery numbers that were down significantly on a month-over-month basis. I don't actually see it right now, of course, but trust me when I say they did come out with Chinese delivery numbers this morning. We were touching on that if you joined us in the pre-market. Everything in the process of getting back up and running as we keep on going here this afternoon. It's 3:20. Guys, let me know if you're okay. We'll come back over to you. Neil, a thumbs up? I think we're good. Whenever they're ready, guys, we can go back to them.
Oh, there we go. I've got my stream deck. I've got the positions. Of course, like, yeah, by the time I get back in, like, Roku is bouncing, so that's kind of unfortunate. Now, here's the thing. Like, I'll tell you exactly what the drill would be in this situation. Like, if I was out of the money on Roku and it was pressing and I was afraid my stop would miss, I would scream to Rankles and Greg, just flatten position, flatten account. That can get done, but I knew it was in the money. That's why I was kind of like, what's the price? What's the price? If I was in TTOO and it was at a level and I didn't want it to break, I probably would scream the same thing. So my chat is working. What else we got here? Just interestingly enough, like, this went, and my average price is now at the 89 because I did add to it down here, but I want to give it a chance to curl. This market is making an attempt to bounce. I do want to give it a chance to curl and then work back into the downside. That's for that. AMD is still looking pretty solid. What else is going? Didn't Tesla acquire a new company? That doesn't really matter. Oh, I wanted to have a look over at, yeah, it was Tesla. I want to see what it's doing. Did it make a bounce again? I don't think so. No, Tesla's still heading to the downside. So Tesla, wow, that was maybe a reversal on Tesla through that 60 level. I was thinking only long above 60. It looks like the short was the way to go on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured. I mean, this is what you get when you try to play the bounce too many times. You know, you lose a little bit too much on the way down. But I mean, nothing crazy on this one. It was all like starter size and then getting stopped out. But you know, wait for a big consolidation. You do a big move up like this. You know, if you're looking for a pullback, wait for the actual spot where it did volume before. Everything above this, 258.50 area is kind of a low liquidity zone where it's going to be able to kind of chop right through there. 50 period, okay, that's fine. But, in the middle here, not the greatest trading on that Tesla. I was really thinking that it was putting in its own move there and wanted to take that back up. But that yellow, while we were off, dumped down into $4. So now I have an order to get long if it takes out 425. These small cap kind of manipulated names, if they do this kind of thing where they dump and don't continue going, and then they come right back up and take out that high again, that's where you want to be getting long for the potential high of day break. So that's what I'm looking for on yellow if that does show up. Carvana. Yesterday, I don't know what time it was yesterday. I can figure it out, though, that we did break out of the high. I think it was like 3:15-ish, so it's got to happen right now probably for this to be good. But not the day chart. We want the 30-minute for yesterday. And what was the breakout price? 50. So, yeah, it was like between 3 o'clock and 3:30 that it broke out yesterday. So maybe we're not getting the same move on Carvana today. I won't write it off until 4 o'clock, obviously. Always going to be on a side chart when we're at these levels on Carvana, but looking like it just wants to consolidate today. Still not a bad move, up or down half or most of a percent today. If Carvana's going to give it up, usually those big up days are followed by huge down days, so good that it's not giving it up. We may just be getting a bigger breakout tomorrow on this name. Everything else, what else am I?
But don't forget Wayfair.
Oh yeah,
I
Wayfair
feel like
too.
Carvana is a good breakout. I actually think Carvana has a great opportunity as well, but Wayfair feels like it's a new kid on the block, and above 85, there's so much opportunity on Wayfair. Just to reiterate, it was my daily chart's not loading. See, that's what happens when you log out back in. Now, some of my daily charts might really, really hate me and decide not to have any data as it tries to fill back in. But if Wayfair is going to close well above 80, well above 85, that 74 level, so let's try to respect it. Let's not sleep on who's reporting aftermarket here, right?
Yeah.
It's Thursday. We get Apple and Amazon that are reporting. I did trade some Amazon. Really just off the 129 level, it was like tight stop, win. Yeah, that was kind of a flat trade in there ultimately. So I like the 129 level, 130 was the right level to play off of. So, I was wrong about that. It's going to happen to you. When I zoom out, it's like, yeah, well, obviously 130, Neil, duh. At 9:30, the lower high was at 130, and I'm shorting 129 because it's what? Because it's a round number. That's why. Because it's 11 o'clock, it's reversal time, and it just wicked a round number, which is not a bad setup, don't get me wrong. It actually started to work. But if 130 is a bigger level, if you liked it at 129, that the actual resistance level, you should love it at that price. Nikola now, Ganesh says. If Ganesh says, I mean, I have to listen to Ganesh. That's a hard maybe, because you know what? It's 325.
A break back over 350 might be something.
It does look okay, but this is like that yellow breakout
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
And there's no chance, like 4 days in a row, and 2 out of 3 we've had it. So it's like at this point, it's almost like a breakout at 405. Previously, it would have been 430, so it has to go. Like, I'm only going to go long if it breaks out for the consolidation level. I've got it up on another chart. That's the one I'm going to be ready. Tesla flying. No, if Tesla was just dumping, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was too early on the dip trade on Tesla. Damn. Back over 259, breaking the teal, and back to 260 basically on this one. Pretty obvious that that's where it gets to, and reverses off of. It gives you that kind of trade where it consolidates, tries to wick down, can't do it, right back into 258.5, and then breakout of 259. Is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to take a 260.5 breakout with 30 minutes left in the day.
I am frustrated by that.
You could.
Do you know what? The frustration level is if you look at the local high break when the volume came in.
Yeah.
It's right here. And there was a good point in the chat, like, yeah, Neil waiting until the end of the day to get into Tesla is probably not a good idea. Because if you didn't have the read on the stock, like sometimes you had that late day foul up. I like the level at 260. You're not going to get to trade the 260 level till it gets there. So I mean that's how it's going to work out in a situation like this. But if you look at when the interest came back into the stock, it was on the breakout here at right around that 258.50. So once you exit the trade, if you still like the long, then you are waiting for what happens when we get back to the previous breakout. Is the previous resistance and breakout still support? Are the buyers still down there? That was a resounding yes. And you might have missed that opportunity. It's 327. So let me just do a couple of things here. One, re-examine Roku. Does not get to the mid to stop me. Look at that. First stop, that's like 89.15. I set my trail at 89.20. It goes right up to 89.15. So this Roku short still looks pretty good as we get closer to the end of the day. But this is yellow time for me. Look at the stars and how they shine for you. And someone said, oh, Neil's a pro because he stayed on and kept talking while the power went out. I told Max, this is the third time that's happened. One time it happened when we weren't streaming, so that didn't matter. But then it did happen one time when we were streaming, so we kind of know the drill. I didn't realize that there was a camera. One of the cameras was working. Otherwise, I would have been talking to that camera for you guys. But there's not much you can do in that situation. If I'm in a position that's scary, I can yell, flatten me, and then the risk manager guys can do that. No problem. I can run back over there. I have a risk computer set up on the bridge as well to be able to monitor risk. And I could have just flattened myself by just walking like 20 feet and then handling that as well. Shout out to 5151. Thank you for the super chat. The blackout was by far one of the funniest things I've seen from y'all. Thanks for everything you guys have been doing thus far. Cheers.
Yeah, they actually waited for us to get out of dangerous positions, and that whole thing was staged just for all of your entertainment.
Can you imagine if that happened when we're taking a Carvana breakout?
Oh my God. They would be yelling, and then the two guys back there would be in the breakout, and they wouldn't be able to flatten us.
No, I would have run to the bridge.
Yeah, fair.
So if I on that T240 breakout, if that happens, I'm running back over the T2 when it broke 40. Like you're jamming long. I am not trust me, it's not worth it. Like I'm going to go run over to my risk PC on the bridge, and I'm going to go handle business and not necessarily talk to you guys in that spot. Well, I mean, I would have tried my best. My mic would have still been on, so I guess I would have still been talking to you guys because the mic works over there, so it would have worked. So yellow, it's actually selling off into this. That's not a good look. It was consolidating higher going into this. All right, it's 3:30. I mean, I'm setting my stopward. I'll give it a few minutes, but I'm going to set a stop just over at this 405 level. And if it goes, it goes. But it has to break out. If nothing happens in a couple of minutes, I cancel the order and that pattern is done. So, forget about that. Set it and forget it. Nikola's above VWAP, so if you took that, congratulations to you there. That was pretty good. I decided I wanted to wait for yellow. Tesla's still okay. I'm worried about this AMD because the market's trying to hold up, and we're right just holding VWAP, holding VWAP. Yeah, AMD might have to give this one up, but I've already made the decision that I'm trailing it out or looking for a breakdown. I entered into Roku. That's my bet that we get to the low of the day. AMD, I decided was a hold instead of an enter. So I decided enter Roku, hold AMD, make your bed, and live with it. Kurt Hoffman. It's a new name. I haven't seen that one in the chat. Welcome here if you like it. Coin, end of day. Play at end of day. You know, I haven't really been paying too much attention to coin after some missed opportunities. One of them being, well, okay, look, 95 has been a missed opportunity for 2 days in a row. Play here. A 90 breakdown if things got out of hand. I'm never bullish enough on coin to endorse the long off support, which is horrible because I'm way too biased. But that's not, on the 15 minute, that's 90 and a half. Sometimes that's not a really bad play to just say, hey man, you have a stock which is bullish on the day into a red market, it's up on the day and it's got higher lows. You could, but it's broken VWAP, that's why I don't like it. But you could just be long off a 90-50. Not for me, not really. Meta's moving off the bottom, Keon says. Meta 316 is the only thing I was really interested in this afternoon. Here's the bottom, that 309, I put that in now, but the 316 I've had for a little bit, for a couple of days now, and that's the level I wanted to trade off of. You're literally diddling in the middle. I wanted to trade off that 316, and we're not going to get that chance.
I was looking at Trade Ideas breakout scanner just now, and Wix.com at high of day, almost at the $100 level. We've never actually closed since this down move in March of 2022, never actually closed above 100, and we're heading into 100 at the high of day at the end of the day. This is kind of feeling like that stock yesterday, which somebody in the chat might remember. I believe it started with a V, where it went to 35, and then we gave up all the way back down to 34 by the end of the day. I can't remember the name, but I'm wondering if that could be a similar kind of move here. We break 100, fail there, and then, you know, this stock hasn't touched VWAP since the middle of the day. Maybe you have like kind of an aggressive move to 150, and then you short it back down through 100 back into like 98 or 98 and a half. So I might throw this one up on a chart just to see if that kind of scenario plays out. Qualcomm is at the highs, I believe.
Of the day?
I mean,
so, well, one thing, I put it in the chat, but the early look, some people have put it in the chat as well. The early look on the imbalances is $592 million to buy. So it is a buy imbalance. Currently, the market is bouncing a little bit here. Maybe I should take some Roku up, but it's not, yeah, we're not almost at the high of the day. There's room on Qualcomm to 120, remember?
Yeah, so it's like 118.50 a breakout, is 118.50 a fade. I mean, based on like what some of these bad news stocks have been doing recently, I would say it's probably a breakout into 350, but probably not something that I'm going to take. I don't really have that one in the playbook yet. But yeah, looking really strong. Like coming into this double top, coming into this consolidation high at 118.40, 118.50. You take that out, maybe you're trading 119.50 before the end of the day. I think that there's a risk to reward setup there.
So there's another question in the chat. When we say the buy imbalance, so scrambled eggs on toast, that is always good. Little tomato, avocado is not bad with that, but you always go standard as well. What does buy imbalance mean? So there's like the market close and the market open are determined by an auction. So both the NASDAQ, New York, every single market that trades, the equity market has an auction at the open and at the close. And what they do is they accept market on close orders, market orders and limit orders into the closing auction. And that starts, you can put them in all day long. Most people put them in near the end of the day. At 350 on the New York and the NASDAQ and on the Amex as well, what they do is they publish the actual order imbalance on those market orders so that we know, so that you know going into it, there's a big buy imbalance on this, and it's for the purpose of anyone wanting to buy or sell large amounts at the close can then try to offset that imbalance. The idea is so that it lessens the amount of volatility, and this is the better part. If you want a really fantastic explanation of it, we've got one of Arun doing it that I'm pretty sure is on our other YouTube page, and you can go find it, and it's much better than me trying to explain it live. So at 350, what they're going to do is they're going to publish here the imbalances. You can see the ones from the morning, and you'll see like a big number next to the stock, and that's the order imbalance. The paired volume is the amount of open interest in it, and then the leftover buy or sell side would be on that side. So that's what we're waiting for at 350. Then at 355 is the big pairing event, where a lot of that will pair off as well. So there's a lot to look for. When we talk about the imbalances, that's what we mean. You can also see them for an IPO that hasn't opened up as well. So it's 335, that's probably going to mean yellow. If it was going to happen, it would have happened already. I'm going to cancel my breakout trade on yellow. So that's a bit of a disappointment. I really thought yellow was going to do the move. But hey, 3 days in a row was fine. If it doesn't happen a fourth, it doesn't happen a fourth. You didn't have to take the trade. Like, it was a breakout or nothing, and nothing happened. So no harm in looking for that trade.
PayPal has a hextuple bottom at this 64.43 level. So I am looking to go long right now on any kind of buying that happens on this one. We got a big bid of like 450 lots at 64.43 random price. If they can't break this, I'm wondering if we can get up to like 65 kind of level. So waiting for some buying to come in here on the tape. And there we go. So we are long now 46s and looking for this to get above 55 and into 65. If we break that size, oh, nice. All right, let's go PayPal. See if we can get a little bit of a squeeze move into the close on this one. If we can't push through the low on a big down day like this, down 12%, then I think we can get a little bit of a recovery. Get this dark pool wick out of here. Oh, wrong button. But yeah, I think that we can get to like 64, 65 at least, and then maybe a little bit higher than that. But yeah, we'll see what, it didn't leave. Sometimes they're stubborn, those dark pool wicks. They won't leave even when you fix them. But yeah, now we're into the 50 period. So let's see if we can break this. I really like this trade, actually. I think, you know, if PayPal can't push any lower, it is SSR, so they can't really hit the bid on this one. Do we take out this little high and maybe get into like the 80s? I would take profit on the next little push into like 75.
That is like literally the perfect entry. I don't think I've ever actually seen that before, like quite that perfect. It's not only is it the absolute bottom, but then it's like you enter and it's like the best volume candle of the hour. I mean, it's, as a trader, it's not so much that you get the best price, but you also want it when people are looking at the stock. You got it exactly when interest picked up on the stock. That is ridiculous.
Congratulations!
So if outside of the actual perfect entry long on PayPal that Max just said, we also had a power outage and kept going for you guys, yet we can't even Ola the heck out of this.
Like and subscribe today.
Can't ask for much more than that. We got a power outage. Lights off like a power outage. That's a Jamie Foxx line in one of his songs. It's like a really cool clip when he's on I think he's on the Graham Norton show. Check that, it's freaking hilarious. And I only say that because like, I hope he's all healthy and whatnot. But yeah, he has some questionable lyrics when you say them instead of sing them. But lights off like a power outage is the good part of that song. So we just got our first take profit on Roku. Now remember, I was short from here, but added at 89s. So I've now just underneath 89. So I've now covered the 89.30 short at 88.6. And now I'm into this, which I've tightened the stop up to here. So we ring the register on that. We'll power it to the downside, I guess. Crypto blogger. What's going on in crypto land, crypto blogger? Impressive how you guys handled no power hour. I like that. That's good. The next time it happens, I'm going to straight up steal that, and then I'm not even going to give you credit, crypto blogger, because stealing other people's lines is what I do around here. I steal from Prad. I steal from Sharif. Flat bottom break is mine. The seahorse setup is mine as well. I scandalize that seahorse setup. Like Prad, he put it on his chart. Before he could even finish the thought, I screen grabbed it and tweeted it out so that everybody would think that I came up with the seahorse pattern on, what stock was it? I don't even know this. Upstart. See, I don't even know what stock it was, but it doesn't matter. It's my pattern now, and like the internet says so. Oh no, I didn't give yellow enough time.
Did it go?
Of course it went.
Really? It like went?
Well, not really, but I mean, you're in the money if you took the breakout.
Okay.
I canceled my order. I said I'll give it like 5 minutes or so. It was 3:30. It got to 3:35. I said it's not going. I stopped, and now it's absolutely going. K&D flips. I will not steal the frosty tipped hair. There's an obvious reason why I won't be doing that. If you guys, Father Time is literally undefeated, so I will not be doing anything with this except keeping it nice and short so you can't tell. Congratulations on yellow. It always does it. It breaks it out at this time. It's 3 days in a row. Each time, maybe a little bit later, not quite as big of a move either. Yeah, Amazon dipped. Oh, okay. Oh, it didn't break down though. No breakdown in Amazon. I'm not calling it a no-fly zone, but it's got to break down here, that 128.40. It's now 3:40, 10 minutes till those imbalances come out. You could see a move if there's a big imbalance to the downside. Like it was a buy, it's now 489 million to buy, so from 590 to 480. If it were to come out a sell into a market which just rejected 15.5, lower high, if it turns sell imbalance, there's always a chance it's like a late day run to the low of the day. If that were to happen, there is a setup here for something like an Amazon. If it had that. And no, I'm not getting a wig, cheeky tax. Halloween, I have no problem with that. I wore a wig on Halloween for you guys. I'll find the picture. When I dressed up, we did Pulp Fiction. When Sean and I did it, I was in a wig and fake facial hair. My brother did this, and I stole the idea from him. My brother did this a few years back. He straight up grew it all. Because he's my older brother, and he can grow a big-ass beard, and he's got the big old fro anytime he wants, and I can't anymore. So Father Time is not undefeated. When it comes to him, it's just a totally different story. It's crazy. Like, he's my older brother, man. I'm the one with the gray. I'm the one whose hair is getting thin, and he's chilling out. Why? Because I'm a trader, and he animates children's TV and movies. And that's why he doesn't have any gray hair. Let's be real.
Yeah, not a lot of hair on the veterans who have been around for a long time in trading, it seems. I think there might be a little bit of stress and testosterone in this game.
Actually, in fairness, I started getting my gray hair and I started having it thin out when my daughter was born. It was the sleep deprivation in the first year of that.
Yeah.
That's when trading had nothing to do with it for the longest time. And the second I was a dad, it's like, boom, gray hair is coming and the hair is thinning out because you don't sleep. And it's the greatest time in the world. Like, you trade it for absolutely nothing. But I didn't even realize how little I was sleeping. There was one time when I woke up and it was my turn to get up in the middle of the night. I got up, my daughter had puked everywhere. I had cleaned up the puke. I got her back to sleep. I had done everything, and I came back to bed. And then in the morning, my wife's like, "Did something happen in the middle of the night?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? We slept through the night. Like, wasn't it your turn or something?" And she's like, "What? You got up in the middle of the night, and there's a bunch of cleaned up stuff." I'm like, "Really? Did I do that?" I had no clue it even happened. Got up at 3 a.m., cleaned up a crap load of puke, spent a half an hour getting my daughter back to sleep, and when I woke up that morning, I had no memory of any of it. Wild. Being a parent is awesome, dude. They don't. Nobody prepares you for anything, but my biggest line for being a parent is, if billions of people have been able to do it for all these years and none of us have known anything, all you gotta do is love your kids and you'll be absolutely fine. Because we managed to not be screwing it up for a very, very long time, so just don't complicate things.
Wise words as always from Neil.
I keep it real.
PayPal's back to that bid, so maybe I should have taken some profit. But, I'm willing on this one to actually add to it and maybe double down if the exact same trade happens again. So I'm kind of waiting for that exact same thing to happen, and then, I'll definitely get some out at 65 there. But if it does happen, it really can't break this local low. Low of day is 64.32, so it's only 10 cents below here. So I figure people do end up covering if we really can't break this. But all right, so there it is. So we get the buying. So I am now into this one even more and looking for that move back through 55 and then into 65. Profit taking going to be at 60 and then 70, and then maybe we can get a move into 85 on this PayPal. If these bad news stocks keep bidding up at the end of the day, then I'm gonna get involved. But yeah, we break that 43 that's it for me. There's some size on 40 that I'll be able to punch out on if that goes. So probably going to go right now, but we bid up. Maybe this still looks decent as we still get the buying off that 43. People are very scared on this one.
It's
on
also
that
a de
43
facto
price.
It's like a 350 trade as well. Like you have a tight stop, you also get the benefit of if there's a buy imbalance on PayPal.
True.
I mean, it either breaks the level, it doesn't, so your
Yeah.
stop's in place. But if there's a buy imbalance, you're just going to win. I always like if you can find that setup on a stock that you anticipate might have an imbalance, it's not bad. I just think you got to ring the register sometimes. Like every now and then, you got to ring the old Reggie.
Oh yeah.
It's 3:45, so less than 5 minutes to the imbalances. On this consolidation on Roku, I took some more shares out because we're running out of time. If you are tuning in for the first time, that's Max. I'm Neil. Max is filling in for Sean. Brendo's at the desk, and we are day trading, which means we have to cover our positions at the end of the day. So while we will have the after show, you can talk all about Amazon and Apple earnings with Pratt on the after show. We will be done with our positions in terms of active trading here at the end of the day, which means, as always, I'm always trying to have tighter stops as we get closer to that imbalance at 350. So I've moved my stop from 89 underneath to this level at 88.8, which is break even on our last entry point. We did start this underneath VWAP, and I've had the same trailing stop on AMD. Nothing's happening on AMD. I've seen some questions about Yell. Amazing Yell is moving up, and it seems like TUP has lost its steam. Anyone knows if Yell will report today? Yellow? I didn't think so. I mean, when you're going bankrupt, what do you want them to say in the call? It's next week they're supposed to report. That's going to be an interesting call to listen to. Candidly speaking, I don't know the CEO, but a friend of mine actually knows the CEO. That doesn't really matter, but that's an interesting call because I can't imagine anything that's going to be good on that call. Usually the catalyst is when they can say the timeline of when you could have some bankruptcy proceedings. Amazon and Apple are after the bell. Matt Carnes with Buffett buying Treasury notes after they have been downgraded with his credit rating. Will his credit rating change also? I doubt it. Buffett always knows something. I mean, look at the great buys he had on any of the banks. He always seems to know the right time. He's there's always going to be somebody that's just that right. But they call him the Oracle of Omaha for an absolute reason. He'd be an interesting guy to sit down to lunch with, man. I'll tell you that much. I'm a big sports guy, but I would probably rather spend 30 minutes talking to Warren Buffett than Michael Jordan. And I'm a big sports person. There's a few sports stars maybe, but I'd probably have more fun picking the brain of Warren Buffett and just how he thinks. We're traders for the short term, and he has a very different outlook there as well. Nikola. That ended up not being, it was a nothing burger on Nikola, so unfortunately there. If you had it off VWAP, you could have made a couple of shekels, but no breakout. We would have liked the 350. I would be canceling that stop order if I hadn't already. And Tesla's not doing a heck of a lot going into the close either. Just sort of hang around that 260, so no breakout for Tesla as we got 2 minutes to the imbalances. I'm just going to ride with these two. Roku was good in and out, but we're going to hold on to some of this for the low of the day, and I want somehow I want the shorts to work and PayPal to go up, if that's at all possible.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous refresher level this is. Right now.
Out of that one on PayPal. So
that's my fault for jinxing it.
Whatever. I lost 4 cents on that, and I was looking for 20 cents of profit. So
I don't feel that anymore.
That ain't a big deal. EVgo, I was gonna buy 540, so we'll cancel that order too. Amazon, people were talking about this one going into earnings in the chat.
It was a super chat.
It was a super chat.
Yeah, Ian Rispetto with a super chat. I'll let you get the
All
super
right.
chat.
Well, Amazon, market down. Amazon's up today. Obviously, we had a large down day yesterday for just about everything, but I like that we're holding the low of the range still. 127.50 or 126.50, I guess, is the low of this range. And 135, 136 being the high. This 131.50 probably the inflection on this earnings report today. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think I'll be watching after hours. Obviously, Pratt is going to be on the show after hours on this one. I think the 130 break on earnings after hours probably takes you into 132, 135. Amazon is not at its highs like some of these other names are. So there's definitely room to go up on this one. There's a reason why we're not at the highs and everything else is because Amazon makes no profit versus a lot of its competitors. But the revenue's there. Amazon's still trying to take over the world. We'll see what happens on this one. I mean, I think we could see 150 before long if they crush the earnings this time, but they seem to go down on earnings almost every time the last few quarters.
They're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
But if AWS crushes it, then I think there's a chance. I wanted to hit the oh my god button, but there's some of those things that like they're on Sean's stream deck and they're not on mine. The oh my god is one of them, so I need to get that on mine. The imbalances just dropped. MFC, well, that's a sell, but no one cares. NEO, 500,000 to buy. What else is here? Pfizer, we don't really care too much about that. Marvell, I just saw for a buy of 500,000. Where are the big tech names? Again, they're just not there. ON, 380,000 to buy. Still scrolling. AMD's 300,000 to buy. That is not very large. I don't see my Roku anywhere. AMD being a buy, it's not really moving. I know because I'm in it. None of the big tech names there, but they could pop up. Apple wasn't there before. Now it's 700,000. So Apple did pop up. 700,000 to buy. That's the biggest one. Intel. That's not a big imbalance for Intel. I like the fact that we haven't got the total numbers just yet. Amazon making a bit of a move, even though I didn't see it on the imbalances. We haven't got that total number. When we get the total number, I'd be interested to see what it works out as, but I feel like it could be relatively mixed, definitely under that billion. Like I said, AMD didn't seem to move on that buy imbalance. My trails here at 113.3. Oh, it is, no change, 592 to buy. It is exactly what it was before, so not a very big buy imbalance. It's probably enough that I'd probably just take this out here on AMD. It cannot break support. It has not stopped. I'll give it one chance to get into that bottom, and I'll probably just punch out manually. But when the imbalances come the other direction, it's hard to want to hold on to it for no reason. Like that's an extra 40 cents that you're just kind of giving up there. So it tried to go. I'll get out of that. Roku, bit of a different story. It didn't have an imbalance and has a chance to not follow the market. Remember we said 115, wait for the Alamo on AMD on the short. It got to the Alamo, and it pulled back into 113 even. So hopefully you had that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get out of this Roku as well. So this position, no point giving it all the way back into 89. If it cannot hold on to the bottom of this channel, then we get out of this. Was pretty particular with the trades. It was Roku VWAP, add on the breakdown. We're able to get a nice consolidation off the bottom, but that's what we liked. We didn't force that yellow trade. Even though it kind of happened again at 330, if you really waited for it, maybe you could have been long at 96, 97 and worked it into 420. There was a 330 trade there, but compared to the last couple of days, this was, I don't consider that successful because yesterday, if you took the 330 trade, you're laughing. It was a 313 to 350. And the day before that, it was even better. It was breaking out at $4 and it went almost to $5. So I feel like that's kind of dead. I don't even think I try it tomorrow. Okay, I probably look at it. I just don't try it. But yeah, when you see a pattern like that, the whole idea is that it's likely somebody buying at 330, but nobody's a forever buyer. That doesn't even exist. So each day, it's likely to not be as good as the day before. You want to smash that on day two, which is exactly what we did, is you smash it on day two. It was good on day one, you smash on day two, you take it day three, and by day four, you're just kind of hoping it still happens. That's just, that's kind of how it goes. There was a strategy like that in Brazil that we had that lasted a while. Netflix, Bigfoot in the chat. Not actually Bigfoot, but that's the name in the chat. What is Netflix doing? Oh, getting smoked. I didn't see it on the imbalance locator, but Netflix went from one of the strongest stocks in the market to reversing when the market came down. I didn't even trade this, so I didn't even pull it up and look at it. The midday guys were all over this one. I didn't see a setup on Netflix. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and every time I looked at it, I was like, I don't like the trade here, I don't like the trade there. I like the short at 450, but that's so far away that it's almost a moot point.
Yeah, I was just going through some names going into the end of the day. Carvana, everybody's favorite squeeze name, just consolidating. I mean, usually you'll see this one either kind of getting smoked at the end of the day or breaking out. There's only 5 minutes left, so if we break out of this consolidation right now, I don't think there's a whole lot left for you unless you want to trade it in the after hours, which it hasn't shown a propensity to move in the after hours. Some of these squeeze names have in the past. Carvana doesn't seem to like squeezing in the aftermarket, so I don't think there's anything there, but setting us up with some really nice levels for tomorrow. We still have that 50 intact. We still have, I don't know, 53 basically as a breakout level for tomorrow. If these high of day breaks keep working, I'm going to keep taking them. And we had another one today at that 52, which did work, takes you into 53.40. So tomorrow, 53.40 breakout, see if that takes you into 55. And then eventually, one day, we may be breaking $60. And hopefully I will be there.
Oh, hopefully you're going to. Unless it's when you go to Barcelona. And if it's when you go to Barcelona, then you know what the solution is. And I'm not going to say it again, but I've just implied it one more time. You know what you need to do in that situation, Max. You have a chance to trade there in Barcelona when you're on vacation. So the imbalances, the pairing event happened at 3:55, and the small names that were there have all paired off. But we do have, there you go, like there was a couple of names over $1 million. But now they've all pretty much paired off. Apple still, I mean, it's 460,000, but nothing to see on the imbalances. All of them got smaller. But we do have some things after the bell. They call them earnings, and traders usually care about the volatility that they cause. You know about Apple and Amazon, but you cannot ignore Coinbase. Can't wait to see what they say about the SEC lawsuits. And DraftKings. DraftKings, Block, Airbnb. What are you looking for? Tomorrow morning, you even get Fubo, Fisker, and Nikola, which are all squeeze names. Like, this is just...
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're... You know what's even crazy about that? Is the name that I want to say had, out of this entire board, with the exception of Coinbase, the biggest move, single-day move in trend trade for like 1 or 2 days in the last quarter might have been Icon Enterprises. When it had that crazy up-down.
IEP? Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
had that crazy short seller report down and up. So even IEP is a stock that nowadays you can look at for some trades and some movement. And Airbnb, great company, but I don't think I really trade that much.
I think DraftKings could be a great trade tomorrow. Usually on earnings, DraftKings gives you the opportunity to get into some size and it can make some outsized moves. Usually has some liquidity at least and can kind of, I find that it reverses the move very, very often on its earnings day. So, you know, you try to find a way to get in at the top and hopefully, you know, trading much, much lower afterwards. Airbnb, some people on the floor have traded Airbnb. You know, it's again one of those $150 names that's not really very thickly traded. So
it's the liquidity.
Yeah, hard for me. However, you have been highlighting every pre-market this week, basically, low liquidity names with perfect setups on them. And they have been absolute bangers. You've taken none, but like you might have something there, Neil.
It's actually very embarrassing because it was Caterpillar, and then it was Starbucks, and then today it was Clorox. Today was Clorox. So yesterday it was Caterpillar, like I already said, but today was Clorox. It was a 161 level. Again, not a very liquid name, so executing it's not the easiest plan. It was you'll hold the gap dip, do the wick underneath 161, go long when it reclaims, and there was room to $170 on the daily chart. So tomorrow, I'm going to probably be looking at something like Airbnb could be the one that's maybe too liquid almost, but there's been all these. Like it was Caterpillar was absolutely nuts. And that was like a perfect setup as well. Starbucks was a good one, not nearly as good as this. Maybe tomorrow I trade one. The problem is when you're looking at Wayfair and Nikola, it's like, well, those have been pretty damn good too. So you've got to prioritize. So I'd rather stick in my lane and trade the things that make sense. Those almost set up like some swing ideas as well. With just 2 minutes to go, I don't know who's going to be ringing the bell. Hopefully the power stays on for the bell ring. We had a power outage. We should have 2,000 likes for the power outage. But Katrine is clearly hard at work. She doesn't even hear a word that I'm saying. She's not even acknowledging me in any way. She won't even turn her face because we didn't get to 1,000 likes. And she's sad. Now she just said exactly. You guys have upset Katrine now. So take a second and do what? What does Darwin say?
The Oracle from Brampton.
No, that's not me. I ain't no Oracle. What the heck just happened to yellow? Yikes.
Yeah.
When a company's going bankrupt, always have a stop order. Do not trade long without a stop. Be willing to make a bottom wick on a great entry. I'd rather have this happen to me and miss out on a win than have that happen to me trying to be a hero. That's the thing. When it doesn't matter. Watch out for these types of names. I don't know if something just dropped on them, but the market just gave that one up in an absolute heartbeat. Less than 1 minute to go. Good look. Ponzi says Ola cat. We say Ola when we get to 1,000 likes around here. And don't forget Wish. Used to be a meme. Context Logic reports as well. Giddy up if Context Logic reports anything positive that could be a pretty spicy one. So less than 30 seconds to go. It's been a fun one, but it's only Thursday. Big earnings after the bell. It doesn't get much better than that. It's going to be wild Apple and Amazon. I'm making sure I have no orders out and no stop orders. We're good to go. We're flat at the end of the day. And Katrine has decided to ring the bell anyways, because that's just how nice of a person she is. And she loves all of you always. And she had the best aftermarket show with Prad as well. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, and ring it. The casino, as they say, is closed, or the market, which we all love. I just saw right at the end of the day, Skibby Dweez, great name in the chat, by the way, that stands out. I love it. Said NVIDIA's short, a little bit late for that. NVIDIA's right in the middle and doing absolutely nothing. It's Apple, it's Amazon that we'll be concerned about. Apple usually reports after 4:15, I think. Amazon could be a little bit sooner. I don't know if we'll have anything right away. Coin is another one that, you know, sometimes I don't think you get them too early as well. And no movement. If I see something in the next like 30 seconds or so, we obviously will let you guys know. But I gotta say this, you know, Max all week long been absolutely killing it, filling in some big shoes. While Sean gets to eat porchetta, drink a boatload of wine, he's in the motherland for him. He's obviously being Italian. You're doing a great job filling in. I just got to say that.
Appreciate it.
And that was the perfect entry on PayPal. I still have no idea how you managed to get it at the point which the volume picked up, but that's weird.
Amazon's
gotta be out.
Amazon is definitely out. Oh my God, that was just trading at 129 and spiked straight to 136. So Amazon clearly crushed the earnings. Last time though, I do recall it spiked right into 120, and then we were trading maybe below 100 before long, but this looks like a great report out of Amazon. Prad will have all of this for you in the after show. What a great move. That was just straight spike. I've never seen that before. Usually they go like slowly up and then
look at the size on the book.
Wow, that's crazy.
Why is there size? Someone just took 40,000 shares at 37. I swear I saw 56,000 shares at 38 when it got up there. I just saw 100,000 shares at 38 on this book for a split second there. There's actual big-time sell orders at that 137. The last time I saw this was on Qualcomm, where people were putting big sizes and ended up reversing the move there. But that's wild. I wanted to look at the level 2 to see what's going on. There was actual, there's 100,000 shares at 39, and this is still going to the upside. This is what we're talking about. It's going to be a wild after show, so why are we looking at us? Great midday by Sharif and Obi-Wan Kenobi. As always, you had the entire production team scrambling to get us back online. Fabian Ramin, Mark was here. Of course, we had Rob. Power outage, where was Randy? I'm just going to throw that one out there. We didn't see Randy anywhere, so it was probably his fault somehow. Brennan is always doing a fantastic job, and you're about to see Prad. I'm Neil. That's Max. This is Trader TV Live. Go get him in the after hours. Amazon, Apple, crushing it.
And the famous words of Obi, Amazon absolutely taking off right now, catching flight. We got a lot of stocks